Hello, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and once again, we have yet another interview for my upcoming tabletop campaign, the Pokemon tabletop campaign. I am here today joined by XEI, whom I have been told I can pronounce Shay, XEI or Shay, because I feel like that's easier to say than XEI. Shay, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It's very exciting. I'm looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better during this interview.
Sure thing.
Cool, cool. So we're gonna start, of course, with the out of character questions. Now, for those of you who haven't seen his audition, he did explain right up front that he's not as familiar with the Pokemon franchise. However, he is actually very familiar with Digimon. Apparently, that is very
Mm.
near and dear to your heart.
Ah, so close.
I personally, there are a lot of things. I personally watched Digimon at least the first two seasons, and
Yeah.
there are many things about Digimon that I did end up liking more than the Pokemon cartoon.
Right,
So
right,
they both are similar, but they definitely have their differences, for better for worse.
right.
So I'm gonna actually alter some of the questions that I asked other people, so that it's more tailored to
Ooh.
Digimon instead.
That's so nice of you, man.
Yes, because I think it's still
Don't make
relevant.
me don't make me be awkward. Is that what you're saying? You're not gonna ask me Pokemon questions so I can just stumble about like a
I
plundering
just
fool.
want to make sure that the interview finds that this interview is designed to get what I need from you, and I just need to know specific things, and tailoring it to Digimon will still do the exact same job. So,
Awesome.
my question for you, Shay, what is it about the Digimon franchise, the Digimon show? What is it about that you were passionate about?
I think for me, it's I was in university when I watched the first and second season, and it was because I was getting into writing and and gaming a lot. I was gaming for 7, 10 years at the time. I got a lot into narrative and character development, and I felt like with Digimon in particular, and I've like I hear my nephew talking about Pokemon, I hear people talking about Pokemon, right? And that's how I sort of learned the differences between the two. And when I have discussions about Digimon, it always comes down to the character building inside Digimon was a lot more mature. And so for an adult watching it or a young adult watching it, I felt like there were themes in there that a child might not get, a young teenager might not get, but there were complex issues with the characters, in particular with like Matt and TK, with the divorced
Mhm.
parents living together and then having that, like him wanting to take care of his younger brother and feeling that obligation that he never had in life, and that was meaningful to me. And just the mythology behind Digimon was a little bit darker. It was very biblical reference. Like there were a lot of themes in there that were very not childlike. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, so yeah, and even with Digimon Try, I just watched the first stack of the when they're adults or they're in they're in college or something, high school or college. And even there, like that show still touches on a lot of deeper issues, like even just like self-confidence and courage and stuff. So as
Mm.
that's for me, I don't know if that exists in Pokemon. I feel like everything is always win-win with Pokemon, and very playful in spirit. And I think that's for me the biggest difference that attracted me to Digimon. Yeah.
Yeah. I think tone wise, my campaign will be leaning more towards Digimon storytelling versus the Pokemon storytelling, but it's still in that Pokemon universe.
Right, right.
So
Now it didn't surprise me with your even when your call out for auditions. I was like, is he talking about Pokemon here or Digimon? Because I'm in if
yes,
this is Digimon. No,
yes,
it was just kidding around, but it's one of
yes,
those. I felt and because I've watched your Dragon Age like second season, I'm like that this heart guy. He tells like deep stories. Like he likes to pull on these characters and like and go a little deeper with them. So
I
yeah, that's what
appreciate
it's.
that.
Yeah.
Shay, what is it about tabletop gaming that you are passionate about?
Probably along the same lines. In particular, for me, as I've done a lot of DMing or GMing in the last 20 years, I rarely got a chance to play. But as a
Mm,
GM, you get that opportunity to create that narrative tapestry. You get that opportunity to get characters to move, like you get to move the pieces and you get to guide the players to come up with their own storytelling and weave that into your own tapestry. And I felt like from a control aspect, I love that aspect of storytelling, being able to guide other people telling stories. So tabletop for me, like in comparison to video games like RPGs, like video game RPGs, like you have a lot more freedom to come up with ideas that you just can't do with digital. You can't do with video games. So I like the creativity aspect of characters even going off script, like going off rule book script. When I said script, I guess not in dialogue script, but not looking at the rule book all the time and just coming up with ideas that challenges the DM even to come up with a solution for how to solve, like how to give them what they want, but still make, like, I don't know, just challenge them to come up with ways to achieve the same with the rules, but not use the rules, sort of thing. So I would say the freedom. Summary, freedom. Freedom of storytelling.
Shay, what do you believe makes you a good player to play with?
I think probably my my game mastering experience will allow me to take steps back. You know, as a GM, you always have to be the person that can impose yourself if you got to guide the story, or you gotta seed some narrative elements so that another character, so a player can get their character to go along a storyline. I think having that background will allow me to take a step back and see what those moments are, and try to in parallel, like almost assist the DM without assisting the DM. I hope that doesn't come across like not running the game, but helping other characters also develop. And because that's what fascinates me. I love to see other people coming up with ideas and throwing me off. And I feel like sometimes certain players don't have that the versatility to come up with ideas on the fly, and they need a little bit of prodding, and then they come up with beautiful ideas that they don't even expect. So I think that would be my contribution. Yeah.
What do you believe is going to be your biggest challenge as a player, and how would you hope to overcome said challenge?
I think probably in the same regard that I've DM'd for so long, the challenge would be to be aware of those moments and take that step back. And it's something I would like to try more. Like now that I've kind of passed the gaming, the DMing phase, I really want to experience things with other people from the player perspective. And I'm not sure I have enough experience to do that well. I mean, not well, but I need to feel that out, and I want to experience what it's like to have other characters guide a narrative that I have to hook into and you know, raise up to the top. So
as you know, this campaign is a little bit unique in that you will have the opportunity to play two characters, your main character and somebody else's Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So my question is, from Digimon, if you could be any Digimon,
oh gee,
which Digimon would you want to be in the Digimon franchise, and why?
Interesting question. I mean, because the easy one would be something like a Greymon or something, because he's awesome. But I would think, you know, probably got Garurumon, probably like the wolf, like Matt's, and only because like I feel like he was always the second tier. He was never the leader, but Matt, you know, the whole Matt and Ty thing was all about, they both wanted the best for the group, but they had very different approaches to that. You know, Matt was all about the family and friendship and like worrying about the individuals, whereas Ty was all about the group and pushing them ahead and getting to the next step. And I feel like Garurumon always took second seat to Greymon, you know, and I think that lieutenant position sort of thing has some more depth to it, because I feel like there's a chance for like not being in the spotlight, like the idea that a character could be in the spotlight. Like I think that werewolf, like he evolves into some pretty awesome stuff, let's face it, but it's one of those, he never takes front stage. It's always a T-Rex. So I think from that regard, just playing someone like playing a Pokemon or a Digimon that knows when to back down, so that he doesn't compromise a situation from a leadership position. Like know what your place is and do it strong. Like be strong in that position. So
awesome. Yeah. Great. All right. Well, thank you, Shay. That you're halfway done.
Now the hard part, is that what you're saying? No.
Yeah. So now we're gonna get to the easy part, which is thinking on your feet, role playing as a completely different person.
All right,
So,
let's do this.
so the way that I'm gonna set up this scene is let's pretend hypothetically
Yeah.
that Chase is applying for a job.
Okay.
So the guy's got to eat. Of course, he's kind of had it rough for a while. He's things are not always looking great for him. So let's
Right.
say he's attempting to join the workforce in some way,
Okay.
or join some sort of program. But most likely for your situation, he probably would benefit more from being paid to do something.
Sure.
What job would you say, hypothetically, Chase would try to apply for?
Probably a job that wouldn't be permanent. So
Okay.
I would think probably something urban. So either, if not like not heavy construction, because I don't see him as like a very like a powerful dude, but something that involves maybe something not menial but repetitive.
Okay.
So I don't concrete laying, like something with the road, like
Construction, maybe.
setting up
Construction,
parks,
setting up
stuff
park.
like that.
Okay. Any preference? Construction of buildings versus setting up parks?
I
Any
say
preference?
buildings,
Okay.
something with something that, here's the thing, something that not everyone would be comfortable applying for because
Ah,
it might have to do with like heights or something. Whereas he wouldn't really worry about that. So
that actually sounds perfect. Okay.
cool.
So Chase, he found out about this opportunity. He goes over to this hiring agency, and the agency itself, it's clean, it's almost sterile, but not really. It's the building itself is sterile, if not for the fact that it does have a lot of posters, inspirational. You can get your dream job, and like there's bulletin boards that some people in the community might have posted, job offerings on. And you wanted to apply for this construction job, so you find the application, you fill it out, and then you go over to this guy at a front desk, and you hand over your paperwork. The guy kind of looks you up and down. He looks over your paperwork, and then he takes a stamp, and then he stamps your application, and he kind of just says, so we got another prospective construction worker. Is that right?
That's correct.
Mr. Imphey? Imphey?
Imphey. Imphey is the correct pronunciation, but
Is that French?
it is actually. My father was French.
Ah. I like your fries.
Different job. I think that might be someone else's application if you're making a joke about the fast food industry, but I'm here for the job with that's on that paper.
Right, he says. He hands you your application back, and he says, all right, Mr. Imphey, I just need you to go down the hall that way, and he points to a specific direction. I want you to go to room 797, and then your screening will take place. This is sort of a way for us, this is kind of a new process for us here to sort of gauge whether you'd be a good fit for this position.
I understand.
Just to warn you, based on some feedback from other people, it might seem a little unorthodox, but my suggestion to you is to just go with it.
I'm pretty good for that. I usually go with the flow no matter what circumstance I'm in. So let's see what you got.
Okay. Again, he will motion down the hall. You take your paperwork and you go down there, and you finally reach a door that has 797 on it. Now, the interesting thing is, so it pretty much is, in fact, a folder, like one of those folders that you would put into a filing cabinet with the numbers 797 written on it in some sort of marker and taped to the door. And if you just look carefully behind the folder, you can kind of half see that taped underneath the folder is the word janitor, as if this used to be the janitor's closet, but for whatever reason, it's been repurposed to be something else, apparently.
All right, this business looks like it knows how to be nimble and just stay on its feet by changing a janitor closet into. I know what it says. And go to the door.
You go to the door. If you were to open it, the first thing that you notice is that immediately invading your nostrils is the smell of incense. Some strange incense. You can hear soft music coming from further inside, and right directly in front of you, to your surprise, is a beaded curtain.
Hmm. Not exactly what I expected. Is anyone in here? Is there a janitor in here? And I push the bead curtain aside.
And you immediately hear, "Come in, darling, come in." A woman's voice comes from behind the beaded curtain, and she says, "I hear that you are looking for a position. Please, do not be shy. I am ready for your screening."
I am here for a position. This is a little strange. I'll just be forthcoming with you. Um, can you just repeat back to me what it is I'm applying for?
She says, "Come here closer, and I will tell all."
Hmm. I don't think I signed up to go to a fortune teller, but if that's what's going to get me a job, I'm happy to hear what you got. And I sit down.
You come in, and there in front of you, as you part the beaded curtain, there, of course, is a room dimly lit, candles all over the place, and right in the center is this large table with a crystal ball, and behind said crystal ball is this woman with very dark skin, purple headdress, and very ostentatiously dressed. And she says, "Mr. Imphey, I presume? Looking for a position in construction. As a man of your talents, I am not surprised."
So did you read that on the paper?
She says,
Man of my talents.
"No, I get my information through the mind's eye, if in the spirit world beyond."
No, I don't think she sees you. Okay, so where's this going then? Are you gonna ask me
Ah,
some questions?
I will ask you questions. I know all, see all, as it is relevant to your job. My purpose is to ask you some simple questions. As long as you answer them honestly and truthfully, dear, everything will be just peachy keen. And we will make sure that this job is a right fit for you.
All right, somehow I feel like you're gonna know more about me than I know about myself, but I'm willing to listen.
Very well. She places her hands firmly on the table
Mm.
and she begins to make some very bizarre noises. Her hands flare up. It's almost like she's having a seizure. And then suddenly she stands up straight rigid and she says, "I see. I see. The streets, the tough streets, oh, very merciless. You have had a bit of bad luck lately. Would you say so?"
It all depends on perception, really. I mean, to some, bad luck is just an opportunity to overcome an obstacle.
Yes, and I see that you are very well skilled at overcoming obstacles, no matter what height it may be. You seem to rise to the occasion in more ways than one, darling.
I try not to make a scene of it, but because if you get caught, you get arrested. So And funny thing you say bad luck. I happen to be quite good friends with a Pokemon, and his name is Luck. It's Skull spelled backwards.
She says, "Ah, you noticed," she says with a grin.
Or you did. Which I don't know which one is more nerving right now.
We'll call it a tie, she says.
Hmm.
At any rate, I shall continue. Now, my first question, dear. Why do you believe that you are qualified for this position?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of people who aren't capable of doing the work that this position requires, and I feel like I have qualifications to go where I need to go, get the job done, and leave without leaving a trace. And I think that my employer would be very happy with my approach to the task. I'm someone who enjoys repetition, so boring tasks aren't boring for me. I'll get through them, keep my mind on the objective, and the job will get done.
Speaking of luck, she says, I have a question about what role does the luck element have to play with this position? I assume that it will continue to be attached to you during this job. What role would it play if that is the case?
Well, I think that every time someone wakes up in the morning and decides to walk across the street, they carry luck upon themselves as well. I mean, at the end of the day, this kind of job requires me to put myself at risk. And when you're facing potential death, and I signed your waivers, so I signed your papers out front. I understand what the risks are, and every time you put yourself in that kind of risk, you better be friends with luck.
Friends with luck, friends with death, or aware of death? You seem to have these things. Very key elements. Tell me, what deep down inside, very deep down inside, do you hope you will get out of this experience, of this job?
I think deep down inside, I'd like to make some money. I think I'd like to take the practical road here, and I'd like to leave the deep things where they're best. Deep down, they always say that there's a gem. A gem can come in many shapes and sizes, and where is a gem but in the inside, a mountain? And there are many ways to climb the mountain and reach its heights. But how many of these mountains actually show us their hearts? And I think that every task I take is like climbing a mountain, and I don't always expect to find the heart.
How profound. And very honest. Yes, that is perfect. I have no more questions for you, sir. But there is one more thing that I need you to do for me before you leave my presence, and that is a psychological exercise, if you will. Tell me, are you familiar with the Tarot 3-card fortune?
I've heard people talk about it on the street.
To reiterate, then, a deck of tarot cards will be drawn, 3 cards specifically, as the name suggests. 1 card represents your past, 1 card represents your present, and, surprise, surprise, the final card represents your future. Now, we are not going to do that specifically, but something in semi-reverse. I have here a deck of cards, and she will hand you a deck. And out of character, these are not tarot cards. What these cards are actually cards of all of the Pokemon types. I would like you to go through these cards, select one to represent your past, one to represent your present, and one to represent your future, and interpret them for me, please.
So past would be dark. I think it's dark because, you know, things happen in people's past that people don't always want to carry with them. They want to leave it where it is, leave it in the dark. And I think that there's a time when you can revisit that darkness and pull to the foreground what it is you want to deal with, what you want to reacquaint yourself with, what you want to revisit and remember. But I think sometimes it's not good to remember. And to be honest, I think quite often, I know what she's getting at, just relax. And I think that it's not good to resurface those things. I think it's good when the body and the mind just decide to forget for you. I think for the present, I'd have to say ghost. I think there's a respect you have to give to those who have left you and those who you feel will leave you. And I think that's the way you come to respect the living, by just being aware of those who are gone. I think for the future, I'd have to say fire. I think if I were to interpret this card correctly, I'd have to say that the fire would be the light that I would need in order to face the dark, shine some light on it, have the courage to confront it, and truly face the future in a meaningful way.
She was listening to you silently, and when you finish speaking, she gives you a very big smile, a big grin on her face, and she says, I have heard everything that I need. And now that you have passed through this screening, I am prepared to send you to the next step. And she takes a stamp and stamps your application. She hands it back to you. There is now one more thing that you must do before you leave the premises, dear, and that is for you to go down next door. There is a camera set up. Somebody will help you. I will need you now to give your pitch. This will be given directly to the prospective employer. Give your pitch as to why they should hire you. And you can be on your way.
My name is Chase Imphey. I'll be honest with you because that's my nature. I've been living off the streets for a few years. I'm looking to change things. I'm looking to make some money, an honest living, if you will. I would like to help others in the community that have had similar past as my own. I'd like to give back to that community. I need money for that. And to be honest, the kind of job you're putting me up for involves going to great heights, and I think that I can do that for you. It also involves building something from nothing, and I think that whether it's a physical thing or whether it's growing as an individual, building up is the best way to approach any challenge. I'm up for that challenge, and I mean, I'm always up for obstacles turning into opportunities, and I think just getting a job will be the obstacle I'm trying to defeat here. So I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity, but I hope you find someone else. And I turn off the camera and I leave the room.